sometimes you gotta do that. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. When I did it, I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. When I did it, I was fucked up. When I did it, I was fucked up. When I did it, I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. When I did it, I was fucked up. When I did it, I was fucked up. When I did it, I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. When I did that.
To apologize. It's too late.
When I did it, I was fucked up.
It's too late to apologize.
I was fucked up.
It's too late.
When I did it, I was fucked up. I was fucked up. I mean, I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video.
Now you see now, you done fucked up.
Nobody knows why liars lie. Winners are not allowed to allow losers to rewrite history. It's God's side and the other side. Country bumpkin black dude that can't talk good. Okay, bitch, and look like Mr. Potato Head.
I didn't want to be a movie star.
No, you couldn't be a movie star. Ricky Smiley can't act. Cause Ricky Smiley can't act. Why is he in a dress again? He didn't be wanting a Barbie. And you gotta tell him no. Sid ain't got no special, you remember? Eve ain't got no special, you remember? Ricky ain't got no special, you remember? Sir, I have 12 comedy specials. P. Diddy or whoever you is. TVJ, 20 of them. I won't stop burning you down until there ain't nothing left. Rubble on top of rubble and I'll still be bombing. Look like a wall, Richard. Look like a wall. You didn't say no. Look like a wall, Richard. Look like a wall. You didn't say no.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your daily vitamins. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you have not done so already, be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Dr._A_Shakur and also on TikTok. I'm sorry, on X at DGoddess27. All right, and as per usual, if you don't like the Queen is cooking, you already know what to do. Okay, so let's get into it, honey. This is all nefarious. Janice Combs has been sued by Mr. Kirk Burrowes, okay, and has been called a mastermind. So hold on, I'm just getting this little ticker together real quick. All right, here we go. Almost done. All right, so everyone, in the meantime, please get those likes up. All right, and that's how you can support the stream absolutely for free. All right, so let's get into it. Let's see who is in here. Okay. Oh, and also before I get started, let's have a brief word from my sponsors at 12 Tribes. There we go.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so with that all been said, listen, don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find it at Walmart.com. Okay, and for the men, she has a lovely beard oil. Okay, and so that all been said, does it look like I'm moving slow? Does it look like something's wrong with the stream, you guys? Is there like a bad reception? Does it look like I'm lagging? You guys let me know because it looked like I was lagging to me. Hold on, let me see here. Let me look on my phone. Does it look like I'm lagging? Once in the chat if it looks like I'm lagging. Y'all let me know. It does. Desmond said it does. It still looks like it. Okay, so I'm going to turn off the camera. Okay, I'm going to turn off the camera. I don't know what's going on here. But you all can hear me, right? Once if you can hear me. Once if you can hear me. You can hear me fine? Okay, great. So we'll just keep the camera off. No big deal. I don't know what's going on with my internet, honey. I need to call them and see what's going down. Okay. So with that all being said, you guys, Diddy, oh, honey, I wonder what he's saying right about now as he sits in that cell, honey, knowing that Kirk Burrowes has come for his mama's neck. It's all crazy. We're going to get into it, honey, because I have the legal docs, 50 pages, and I just want to remind you guys that you heard it at first, that I told you guys months ago, okay, last year, that Janice Combs is probably, she might even get charged, okay? I told you guys that she might even get charged because remember, they said, now allegedly, they said that Janice Combs and Justin Combs have some of Diddy's things in their names, okay? So while we're waiting for some more people to tune in, I'm going to go ahead and go back to this previous video I did, just play about 5 minutes or so, where I was telling you all about Janice Combs and how she might be in a bit of a pickle sooner than later, okay? All right, so here we go. Then I'm going to go to a clip from that video that I did about Kirk Burrowes. Into it. Hey, Shalva. All right, AM is in the house. So we got to get on that spiritual channel tomorrow, honey. We haven't been on there in about a week because I've been so busy focusing on the election and Diddy. Okay, so I will be on the spiritual channel tomorrow. With that all been said, let's talk about it because Diddy's mother is about to get sued. And I find it also interesting. I'm wondering if she's going to be brought up on charges because you all know I told you all months ago that she absolutely could be if some of these allegations about her hiding Diddy's money is in fact true. So let's get into it. Now, this is an exclusive from the Daily Mail. They say ex-gangster who was an associate of Diddy's reveals that he's filing a lawsuit against the disgraced mogul's mother. And that would be Miss Janice Combs. Sean Diddy Combs used his mother's name to allegedly form a criminal enterprise to hide money and other business deals, according to a former friend who worked with the disgraced bad boy mogul. Now, Dion D1 Best appeared on DailyMail.com's podcast titled The Trial of Diddy, where he claims that Combs' mother, Janice Combs, he used her name to hide artist publishing rights, including deals best that he brokered, including deals best. I'm sorry, should be best deals. It says deals best, but including best deals that he said he brokered in the late 90s. Now, this is no surprise because we've heard this before. Okay, Best claims his company, Finish Line Entertainment, signed artists to Diddy who worked on various albums for Bad Boy, including Christopher Notorious B.I.G. Wallace's 1999 Born Again, which reached platinum status and sold over 1 million copies. So hiding assets, because remember, they not only said things were in her name, but also in his son Justin's name. Now, Best, who's 56 years old. Okay. So I want you all to pay attention because at the end of the day, that was someone totally different talking about his nefarious mom. Okay. And she is nefarious as far as I'm concerned, just as her nefarious son Diddy is. Okay. So now with that all being said, now she's being hit up by Kirk Burrowes, okay? And you all remember I did a video about him as well. Thank you, dark-skinned brother, okay, aka DSB, for gifting the channel a membership. Peace, love, and blessings. Oh, well, here comes another one. All right, well, thank you for another membership for the Queen's channel, beloved. Thank you. Peace, love, and blessings. I appreciate you. Now, you all be sure, moderators, let's get some fire emojis in the chat for DSB. And you all be sure to thank him for buying these memberships for the channel, especially if you are someone who is a recipient of one of those, memberships, okay? Okay, so let's get into it, honey, because I absolutely cannot with Diddy and his mother. They both need to sit down somewhere. Okay. They both need to absolutely sit down somewhere. Hold on. Let's go back to that video again before I move on to the next one. Just a couple of more minutes. Hold on. Status and sold over 1 million copies. So hiding assets, because remember, they not only said things were in her name, but also in his son Justin's name. Now, Best, who's 56 years old, said the way Diddy allegedly organized his business deals not only took publishing rights from him and the artists who worked on the songs, but built them out of their future earnings. Saying all of my publishing rights went to Janice Combs. Best told DailyMail.com this information exclusively, saying, I'm here to talk about a different section of these allegations. And what I feel to believe involves his mother, Janice Combs. Now, goes on to say, hold on, these pop-ups. Now, it goes on to say, the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, aka RICO, is about holding people accountable for systematic actions. Says that, he added, you know, these actions have caused financial hardship, emotional hardship, but not only myself, but for other artists in the business through what I feel was fraudulent and coercive activity. And I think that Janice Combs falls under those guidelines. Well, if this is true, she absolutely has been participating in fraudulent activity. Now, Best told the Daily Mail that he plans to sue Janice Combs and her company because the bad boy deals were signed to her name. Meanwhile, Diddy remains at Brooklyn jail and is facing multiple federal charges. We already know what those are. Okay, now his attorneys have declined to comment on Best's allegations. Okay, the Daily Mail also reached out to Janice Combs' attorney for comment. Best also claimed he alleged that Combs did the same thing with songs his company created on other albums, including rapper Black Rob's 2000 album titled Life Story. Okay, so I'm going to stop right there. You all got the gist of it. At the end of the day, someone else previously said months ago, I think that was probably about 3 to 4 months ago, when Best said that he was in fact going to sue Janice Combs. And I told you all in that video, but I told you even before then, last year, I told you all that Janice Combs might be held accountable for and be charged with something, because if someone's engaging in a RICO enterprise, and specifically if they're doing anything pertaining to money laundering, okay, and you have things and assets of theirs in your name, how money of theirs in your bank account or whatever, you absolutely can be charged for that, okay? You absolutely can. So she better hope that this lawsuit is all she gets and not some criminal charges, honey. And just remember, you heard it here first. Now, as it pertains to Mr. Kirk Burrowes, for those of you who missed it when I talked about him, let me just go to this video for a brief clip as we wait for other people to enter, because I don't want to get started with this lawsuit and then have some people missing out on the first part of it. Okay, so this is what Mr. Kirk Burrowes had to say. Now, remember, this is Diddy's former business partner.
I akin it to, you live next door to a serial killer and you give him a pass because he didn't touch your house. Yet. There's something wrong in it. Something not neighborly for the other neighbors who don't know that this man is hacking everyone up. And you.
Now fast forward just a little bit.
Then I was like, I got a problem that I don't even know what I have. We have to rewind a little bit. When I saw Sean in the video for No More Drama, I realized that somehow he got me out of my Mary situation. Because Kenny Marsalis, being his lawyer, Bad Boy, and now becoming the lawyer with Mary, they got me out, cut me loose, nothing else attached. And that's Kenny Marsalis, the same person who took the 25%, ended my financial legacy with Mary. I don't understand why she chose him, because he was always a detriment to me from the last scenario, and all I did was bring good things to her. We ended with a #1 pop record, a rarity. Well, I was starting to get a little pissed at this point. Take takes me a long time, as you can, if you can notice, to get aware and to be angry and to do something.
Okay, I'm going to stop right there so we can go ahead and get started with these papers because they're lengthy. They're like 53 pages. Now, here's the thing. If you don't remember what exactly was going on with Mr. Burrowes, he had a stake in the Bad Boy organization, the record label, because he was Diddy's business partner. And then he and Diddy got into it. And basically, he said Diddy, forced him to turn over his shares in the company, okay, to sell it back or whatever. And then Kirk Burrowes started saying things about Diddy. Okay. And then next thing you know, he got hit with charges. Okay. He ended up taking a plea deal. And under the plea deal, Burrowes was expected to serve 10 to 16 months in prison under sentencing guidelines. Okay. Now, mind you, he was president of Diddy's Bad Boy Entertainment for 3 years. Okay. And he ended up basically copping a plea. Okay, so anyway, with that all being said, they had a major fallout, and this was around 2003. And then he started making these claims against Diddy. First of all, he alleged that Diddy forced him, like I said, to relinquish his stake in Bad Boy by threatening him with a baseball bat, honey. Y'all remember that? I told y'all about that. And he also implicated Diddy in the murder of Tupac Shakur. But of course, the suit ended up getting tossed out and he was hit with charges, honey. That's what happened. And I think that had something to do with maybe some of the connections that Diddy had. Okay, so let's talk about it. I'm about to share my screen so you all can see this paperwork, these legal docs. Honey, this is all nefarious. Diddy, your whole family's going down, honey. All because of you. All because of you and the lifestyle you were living. Now, I'm not saying you were guilty, but I am saying that some of the things that you did, such as taking your artists' publishings, allegedly, not paying them their just due, allegedly, and making people turn over their rights in the business to you by holding baseball bats up against their noggins, okay? Busting people upside the head and splitting wigs with champagne bottles and holding chairs over women's heads, allegedly, according to Lorianne Gibson. Now, if this is all true, Diddy, you know you need to sit down somewhere. And matter of fact, you need to sit down right where you are at the MD to the C. Okay, so let's get into it. Now, this was filed on today. And I want to also remind you all of something else that I pointed out to you all first. I told you last year, don't make me go pull up the video to prove it, but you all remember that I told you all last year, once in the chat, if you all remember, that I also told you that if they can prove that Diddy was money laundering or he was doing these things that he's accused of or whatever, specifically with the money laundering, that they could confiscate his assets, his property, real estate, any of his real property, monetary, all of that stuff, that they could do civil forfeiture on him. Okay, civil asset forfeiture. Okay, remember I told you guys that, and then just a couple of months ago, they were saying that they could take Diddy's property. And I told y'all, I said, honey, they could take all Diddy's properties, everything that he owns, and then leave him high and dry. But likely they wouldn't be able to know where all of it is, because I'm pretty sure Diddy may have hidden some of his stuff in some shell companies, may have Swiss bank accounts overseas, who knows what else. I mean, he was already smart enough, so he thought to put some things in other people's names, okay? So just in case he should get sued. All right, so some of y'all are putting ones. Okay, so now let's get into this lawsuit that was filed today. So plaintiff Kirk Burrowes, hereinafter referred to as plaintiff, by and through his attorney, Tyrone A. Blackburn, Esquire. Now, mind you, he has the same attorney as Lil Rod. Okay, goes on to say, and as for this complaint against defendants Janice Combs, Janice Smalls, that's her real last name, honey. Janice Smalls, aka Janice Combs, lawyer Doe 1, James Doe 1, and ABC Company 1, John and Jane Does 1 through 10, and ABC Corporations 1 through 10, hereinafter referred to as defendants, alleges upon information and belief as follows. This case arises from an elaborate and calculated scheme executed by defendant Janice Smalls in collusion with Sean Combs, okay, Kenneth Marsalis, Esquire, and others to illegally seize plaintiff Kirk Burrowes' 25% ownership interest in Bad Boy Entertainment Holdings, Inc., okay, BBE, a New York corporation, and his 15% share of BBE's annual earnings, thereby depriving him to access of his equitable financial interests and benefits derived from both plaintiff and defendant's operation of BBE. This is all nefarious. Now, plaintiff, as an integral co-founder and executive of BBE, contributed significant financial investments, industry expertise, and leadership to BBE. Through his efforts, plaintiff helped the company evolve from an amateur startup entity to a global music powerhouse. Rather than honoring their contractual obligations, defendants exploited plaintiff's trust by misrepresenting key business dealings, minimizing and erasing his pivotal role in BBE's global success. Okay, so I'm going to tell y'all what I'm going to turn on. I'm going to turn on a little bit of music to lighten the mood. What do y'all think? We're going to play Rhythms of Today. I really should be playing the violin music for Janice Smalls, aka Combs. Okay, so now with that all been said, goes on to say, plaintiff, an integral co-founder and executive of BBE, contributed significant financial investments, expertise, and all of that. Defendants exploited plaintiff's trust by misrepresenting key business dealings, minimizing and erasing his pivotal role in BBE's global success, and by implementing coordinated coercion and deceit tactics to defraud him out of his contractually acquired and earned beneficial ownership in and compensation for his efforts with BBE, thereby further depriving plaintiff of access to his equitable financial interests and benefits derived from both plaintiff and defendant's operation of BBE. Now, defendant Smalls engaged in a decades-long scheme of intimidation, violence, fraudulent misrepresentation, and financial concealment to strip plaintiff of his rightful ownership interest in and to BBE. One appalling example of defendant's egregious conduct stems from an incident that occurred in 1996, specifically in May of 1996. With defendant Smalls' knowledge, Sean Combs, son of defendant Smalls, stormed into plaintiff's office located in a highly populated commercial office space within BBE, accompanied by Kenneth Marsalis Esquire, while plaintiff was working. Now, during this incident, defendant Smalls' son, Mr. Combs, made threatening statements while erratically wielding a baseball bat. Ooh, Diddy is something else, isn't he? But I want you all to pay attention, though. Do you all notice that when they talk about Diddy fighting men or getting ready to go off on men, that he always seems to have some sort of weapon in his hand? Has anybody noticed that? Remember the coach, Justin's coach, who they claimed that he was going to hit the man with the kettlebell? Okay. I think he did hit him with it. That's why he got charged. And then let's not forget Steve Stout. Then he go upside his head with, in fact, a champagne bottle. And then he brought the goons to confront Shakur Stewart and threaten to kill him. And now he's dead. Not that Diddy killed him, but always bringing backup or bringing something in his hand, allegedly. And that's no surprise, because men who put their hands on women, they're usually cowardly when it comes to men, confrontations with other men, okay? They want to have backup or have some sort of weapon. Anyway, with that all being said, Mr. Combs then presented a contract to plaintiff, which he had never seen before. Plaintiff, under extreme duress and in justified fear for his physical safety and life, did not read the contract, but nevertheless signed the contract presented without the guidance of proper legal representation. Now, he later discovered his signature on the aforesaid contract conveyed away his rightful 25% ownership interest in and to BBE. Defendant Smalls, acting individually and in concert with Kenneth Marsalis Esquire, her son, Sean Combs, James Doe 1, lawyer Doe 1, and other unknown co-conspirators engaged in an egregious and unlawful campaign of coercion, deceit, and misrepresentation in a concerted effort to unjustifiably wrest away plaintiff's 25% ownership interest in and to BBE and to appropriate plaintiff's compensation, benefits, and intellectual property which were all derived from his decades-long contributions to BBE. Now, over a span of decades, defendant Small continuously deceived plaintiff by concealing her role in the illegal and violent transfer of plaintiff's 25% ownership interest in and to BBE, inclusive of BBE stock. Defendant Small's fraudulent concealment of her role in BBE and her involvement with the aforesaid incident that took place in May of 1996, which deprived plaintiff of significant financial compensation and employment benefits and caused him irreparable personal, psychological, and professional harm. Upon information and belief, defendant Smalls profited immensely from her conspiracy with her son, Sean Combs, Kenneth Marsalis Esquire, James Doe 1, Lawyer Doe 1, and other unknown co-conspirators. Okay, leaving plaintiff destitute, honey. Oh, this is so sad. Leaving him destitute, homeless, and excluded from BBE, a company he co-created and provided significant financial contributions to, without which BBE would not have attained the global success it currently holds. Now, as recently as 2021, defendant Smalls further exploited plaintiff's trust. Specifically, defendant Smalls solicited plaintiff's expertise and assistance with respect to the development of a historical documentary about the history of BBE. Plaintiff, still unaware of defendant Smalls' unlawful campaign of coercion, deceit, and misrepresentation, which led to his ousting at BBE, hesitantly agreed to provide his assistance. Defendant Smalls subsequently reneged on their agreement of compensation and collaboration in connection with the BBE documentary, thereby perpetuating a pattern of exploitation, coercion, and deceit. Ooh, honey, she sounds just like Diddy. Okay, she sounds just like Diddy, honey. He got it from his mama, so they say. Now, for years, defendants misled plaintiff, falsely reassuring him that they would rectify the theft of his ownership interest while actively concealing the unlawful involuntary transfer of plaintiff's 25% ownership interest in and to BBE to third parties. In 2019, at Diana Ross's VIP event, defendant Smalls' son, Sean Combs, admitted to the wrongdoing that he and his mother, defendant Smalls, engaged in that led to the incident that occurred in 1996, claiming that they needed to make things right. However, this was yet another strategic delay tactic, as no coercive action was ever taken. And remember, when I played you all that interview with Mr. Burrowes talking, I believe he said that they strung him along for 5 years or so. Now, defendants not only defrauded plaintiff of his rightful ownership interest in and to BBE by effectuating the involuntary transfer, they also systematically sabotaged plaintiff's career. Defendants blacklisted, as that term is commonly known in the music and entertainment industries. Okay, they blacklisted him from various music industry events, companies, gatherings, and business opportunities. Additionally, they engaged in a concerted effort to destroy his professional reputation, in which they succeeded. Defendants' concerted efforts ensured plaintiff would no longer have income security and would remain financially destitute and unable to reclaim what was rightfully his. Defendants not only defrauded plaintiff of his rightful stake in BBE, but also systematically sabotaged his career. They blacklisted him from the music industry, blocked business opportunities, and destroyed his professional reputation, ensuring he would remain financially destitute and unable to claim what was rightfully his. Now, I don't know why they wrote that twice, if that was an accident or they were just reiterating. Okay. Furthermore, defendants deliberately misused corporate assets, engaged in corporate waste and financial mismanagement of or by directing company funds to be used for luxury personal expenses. Out here balling out of control, supposedly. Unauthorized real estate transactions and fraudulent business deductions, directly impacting plaintiff's 15% profit share, which caused plaintiffs substantial financial harm. Okay, so it sounds like the money that they were supposed to be putting back into the business, or, they were supposed to be dividing the profits, they were supposed to be dividing the 15% share he's supposed to get, was affected because they're out here balling out of control. Just spending money on bullshit. Now, plaintiff now seeks reprieve for the egregious injustices and deliberate wrongdoings leveraged against him. This lawsuit seeks compensatory and punitive damages, equitable remedies, and all other relief deemed just and proper to address defendant's fraudulent, deceptive, and unlawful conduct. Specifically, reinstatement of plaintiff's full 25% ownership interest in and to BBE, compensatory damages for his 15% profit share plus accrued interest, and independent forensic financial audit of BBE's earnings from its inception to the present, and injunctive relief to prevent further exploitation. Now, plaintiff Kirk Burrowes is a renowned executive in the music and entertainment industries and co-founder of BBE, and was contractually entitled to 25% ownership in and to BBE and a 15% share of BBE's annual earnings. As the co-founder of BBE, plaintiff was instrumental in shaping the company's success, serving as its chief operating officer and general manager. Plaintiff dedicated his curated expertise, time, and substantial resources to BBE, including managing daily operations, overseeing artist development, and contributing to the BBE's overall strategic growth. Defendant Janice Smalls, aka Janice Combs, is a resident of Miami, Florida. She's the alleged mother of Sean Combs and a key figure in the inception of BBE. Defendant Smalls was the business partner of plaintiff and owned 75% ownership interest in and to BBE, while plaintiff owned the remaining 25%. Now, defendant Janice Smalls knowingly participated in the fraudulent scheme to obtain 100% control of BBE. She falsely denied receiving plaintiff's 25% shares until 2024. Okay, when records revealed her role in the involuntary transfer of plaintiff's ownership interest in and to BBE in May of 1996. Now, I want y'all to pay attention. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention because I was just sitting here asking myself, why did Mr. Kirk Burrowes take so long to finally sue her? Okay, if these allegations are true. And I believe they absolutely are. But here's the thing. That's because she had previously denied these things. Okay, and then didn't come out and admit the truth until 2024. She falsely denied receiving plaintiff's 25% shares until 2024. So that's probably why he's suing her behind right now, because he's probably just finding out or just getting her to admit to it. Now, defendant Smalls held significant influence over BBE's affairs and, as alleged, knowingly conspired to deprive plaintiff of his ownership interest in and to BBE. She benefited substantially from the actions of her son, Sean Combs, while misrepresenting her involvement in said actions. Now, defendant lawyer Doe 1 is an attorney licensed to practice law in the state of New York. Okay, he served as legal counsel to BBE and defendant Smalls' son, Sean Combs, playing a central role in orchestrating and executing the scheme to deprive plaintiff of his ownership interest in and to BBE. Defendant lawyer Doe 1 leveraged his position of trust and power to facilitate the coercion, conversion, and involuntary transfer of plaintiff's ownership interest in and to BBE. Unbeknownst to plaintiff at the time, defendant lawyer Doe 1 colluded with defendant Smalls to obtain plaintiff's 25% share of BBE through violence and force. Defendant James Doe 1 is an individual residing in the state of New York. He is a prominent music producer, entrepreneur, and of BBE. Now, defendant James Doe 1 played a central role in the company's formation and operations. Okay, I'm going to skip past some of this because it's getting kind of repetitive. Let's go to the factual background. Let's go to the factual background. This is all just a whole hot mess. Let me see what y'all are putting in the chat. Alice Child said, IRS anyone? Okay. Straight True says he was doing too much. All those skeletons are jumping out. Honey, they sure are. Okay, please be sure to duck. Okay, now factual background. Plaintiff co-founded BBE alongside defendant Janice Smalls and owned a 25% stake in the business. Plaintiff also served as BBE's chief operating officer, okay, the CEO, and general manager, handling operational and management responsibilities integral to the BBE's success. Janet Smalls co-founded BBE with plaintiff and relied heavily on plaintiff's managerial expertise and financial resources to establish the company. Now, despite this, defendant Smalls reneged on promises of equitable ownership and profit sharing, choosing instead to exploit plaintiff's contributions for her financial enrichment. Doesn't that sound like Diddy, y'all? Doesn't this all sound like Diddy? And here I was, okay, please pay attention, because I can admit when I'm wrong, honey. And here I was all along thinking that Clive Davis was the one who taught Diddy how to get down with the get down and be also nefarious. But it looks like, sounds like, and smells like, okay, if this is all true, now I can't prove that it is, but these are the allegations set before us. But seems like maybe little old Miss Janice was the one who taught him a thing or two. Let's not forget, it's also been previously alleged that she's the one who told him to get in cozy with the older white men in the industry so he can get to where he's trying to go. Let us also not forget that she was at one of those parties. I'm not going to say it was a freak off, but I think it was a freak off. But remember that she was on that yacht when her grandson, Christian King Combs, was accused of assaulting Grace O'Marcaig. They were playing the game Carisha Please, and Diddy allegedly, according to the lawsuit filing, pulled down his pants on a dare and exposed himself while his mother Janice allegedly sat right beside him. Do y'all remember that? Oh, nefarious. And let's not forget the video of them kissing each other on the mouth and Diddy trying to pimp her out, talking about she can touch the floor with her palms flat. Y'all remember that? Anyway, I digress. Now, Kenneth Masalis, serving as legal counsel for BBE, played an instrumental role in facilitating the incorporation and operational structuring of the company. Okay, can you all see that picture? Let me see here. Y'all see that? This is all nefarious. That Crazy Beach area said famous drip session. Okay, this is all a hot mess. All right, so anyway, it goes on to say Masalis prepared necessary documents, advised Smalls and Burrowes on strategy, and concealed material information related to the allocation of ownership interest, including plaintiff's agreed upon 25% equity stake, as well as his 15% share of BBE's annual profits. Now, defendant Smalls knowingly benefited from plaintiff's financial and managerial contributions while deliberately excluding him from ownership rights and profit sharing. Plaintiff's contributions included significant seed funding, which paid for the services of Bert Padell, a business manager and accountant, and Kenneth Masalis as the company's attorney. Now, y'all know Ken Masalis is Ben Masalis' father, is he not? This is all crazy. Now, plaintiff personally, now let me let you guys see this picture right here. I'm gonna skimmed over that. Okay, that's Kirk Burrowes and Kenneth Masalis. Okay, so anyway, plaintiff personally financed, conceptualized, and executed the foundation of BBE. I think that was Kenneth Masalis. Anyway, it looked like it. Executed the foundation of BBE, ensuring its legal incorporation, financial stability, and strategic market positioning. Plaintiff's early investments and business acumen transformed BBE from a conceptual venture into a fully operational and revenue-generating entity. His contributions are corroborated by corporate filings, internal communications, business records, and financial transactions. Official incorporation records confirm that BBE was formally established on June 9th of 1992 in New York as a domestic business corporation, with corporation service company designated as the registered agent. Plaintiff played an instrumental role in securing and structuring the company, ensuring it complied with legal and financial requirements. BBE initially operated from 1440 Broadway, New York, a strategic location secured through plaintiff's direct involvement. Recognizing the need for expanded operations, plaintiff facilitated the relocation to 1540 Broadway, floor 30, which allowed the label to increase its industry influence and commercial reach. Now, these records directly corroborate plaintiff's pivotal role in BBE's corporate development. And so basically, it seems like this man was doing a whole lot. And like they wouldn't have been anywhere had it not been for what he contributed to the cause. Now, during the formative years of BBE, plaintiff dedicated extensive time and resources without compensation, committing himself to structuring the company, building building industry relationships, and securing key deals which solidified BBE's dominance. Okay, this all solidified BBE's dominance in the music business. Now, his visionary leadership was critical to the company's foundation and trajectory. Plaintiff's executive responsibilities included, number one, negotiating and executing artist contracts, securing top-tier talent that fueled BBE's early success, managing daily business operations, ensuring fiscal discipline, and establishing corporate policies, developing and implementing strategic initiatives that propelled BBE to global prominence. Plaintiff's contributions and ownership interests are meticulously recorded in over 1,000 pages of detailed business journals, corporate filings, and executive communications since the inception of BBE through his lawful and involuntary ousting. These records establish his rightful ownership claim and undermine defendants' fraudulent actions. Now, defendant Janice Combs engaged in a pattern of calculated deception, intentionally misrepresenting her role within BBE and the May 1996 incident, while covertly working to exclude plaintiff from ownership and financial benefits derived from his involvement with BBE. Defendant Smalls, in concert with Sean Combs and Kenneth Marsalis, engaged in a conspiracy to defraud plaintiff by manipulating legal filings, withholding financial disclosures, and forging internal agreements to systematically remove plaintiff from decision-making and equity participation. Plaintiff or defendant Smalls exploited plaintiff's personal and professional trust, regularly seeking his guidance and protection from Sean Combs' volatile and abusive behavior. Plaintiff personally witnessed Combs physically assault Smalls, calling her derogatory slurs, his own mother. Now, this is absolutely egregious, but we did hear Gene Deal say that Diddy threatened to slap his mother or do something to her, and Gene said he went in on him. Diddy sounds like a whole devil. Now, aggressively overpowering her and demonstrating a pattern of violence and coercive control. Honey, I'm not surprised, and I absolutely believe it may be true, because let's not forget that Rodney Jones also talked about Diddy and his mother. Remember, he allegedly told Rodney Jones that he would kill his mother, like basically take his mother out if she got in the way of him getting what he wanted. Okay, I'm paraphrasing. And so anyway, defendant Smalls knowingly aligned herself with Sean Combs and Kenneth Marsalis to orchestrate plaintiff's involuntary ousting, fully aware that her continued financial enrichment depended on eliminating plaintiff's legal claim to BBE. She played an active role in executing fraudulent transfers, fabricating legal agreements, and concealing financial transactions. Now, despite years of verbal assurances and a seemingly deep personal relationship between plaintiff and defendant Smalls, she deliberately orchestrated his exclusion, taking full control of BBE's assets and revenue while denying plaintiff access to the financial rewards of his labor and investments. And then let's not forget that he ended up getting those charges, getting hit with charges to add insult to injury. Now, plaintiff's initial financial contributions to BBE were critical in covering the company's foundational expenses, including 1, corporate registration and licensing fees required for legal entity formation, 2, office space acquisition and operational infrastructure costs, 3, legal retainers, business development expenses, and strategic investments. Okay, now defendant Smalls directly benefited from these financial outlays, fraudulently maintaining control over corporate funds and assets while systematically denying plaintiff his rightful equity stake. Defendant Smalls' fraudulent conduct was intentional and malicious, including, number 1, concealing corporate financial records to obfuscate plaintiff's equity claims. 2, knowingly filing false documentation to facilitate his exclusion. 3, misrepresenting ownership structures to third parties and industry stakeholders. Now, as a direct result of plaintiff's unlawful actions, plaintiff has suffered substantial financial losses, reputational harm, and severe emotional distress, including, number 1, the fraudulent deprivation of his 25% ownership interest and 15% share of BBE's annual profits. 2, career blacklisting, career blacklisting and reputational sabotage orchestrated by Sean Combs and defendant Smalls. 3, a complete obstruction of his professional earnings, leaving him in financial ruin. So it sounds like they used this man. I don't know if everything he's saying is 100% true, but if it is, sounds like they just used him. They just used this man to get everything in order, to get everything organized, to get all the paperwork and everything done, to get these artists in check and get their contracts and all that stuff. And then just kicked them to the curb so they could keep all of the money and proceeds and profits in the family. Now, I'm just saying that's what it sounds like if these allegations are true. Plaintiff, fearing for his life, with tears streaming down his face, clearly unable to resist under the circumstances, involuntarily signed the documents relinquishing his 25% ownership interest in and to BBE. Okay, on this day, defendant Smalls was absent from the office. Her absence was not normal, as it was customary for her to be in the office daily. Defendant Smalls sat down the hall from plaintiff. Plaintiff and defendant Smalls would have strategy sessions and meetings together with other label executives, and plaintiff would provide her with daily updates concerning artist travel, sample clearances, budgeting, etc. Now, after Kenneth Masalis Esquire and Sean Combs' criminal actions, plaintiff called defendant Smalls seeking guidance and assistance. She pretended she was unaware of Kenneth Masalis and Sean Combs' actions. Plaintiff recently learned that was a lie. Okay? Learned that was a lie, honey. Yeah, so this is all sounding like mother like son. But what do I know? Now, although she was not physically present when Kenneth Masalis and Sean Combs committed their crime, defendant Smalls later falsely denied knowledge of or involvement in the coercion and fraudulent involuntary transfer, despite directly benefiting from the wrongful acts. A plaintiff's ownership interest was transferred to defendant Smalls, resulting in her 100% control of the label. Kenneth Masalis and Sean Combs acted in concert with defendant Smalls to orchestrate the fraudulent involuntary transfer of plaintiff's ownership interest and concealed material facts to ensure plaintiff remained unaware of the extent of their conspiracy. This all sounds so darn nefarious. This is a shame. This is such a shame. Plaintiff Kirk Burrowes was a visionary, strategist, and business architect of BBE. His relationship with Sean Combs began in the early 1990s when plaintiff was introduced to Combs through industry connections who recognized his prowess in talent management, business structuring, and industry negotiations. Oh, this is all just a whole mess. I want you all to pay attention. I want you all to pay attention. Now let's keep going, because recognizing plaintiff's strategic mind and industry expertise, Sean Combs entrusted him with key operational and managerial responsibilities, leading plaintiff to co-found BBE and establish its foundational business framework. Plaintiff's influence was instrumental in transforming BBE into a dominant force in the music industry. Plaintiff designed and implemented the business infrastructure that allowed BBE to thrive, ensuring sustainable revenue streams, artist development programs, and long-term strategic planning. Now, plaintiff designed and implemented the business infrastructure that allowed BBE to thrive, okay? Ensuring sustainable revenue streams, artist development. Okay, I don't know why they have some of these things written twice. I'm thinking maybe this was an oversight done accidentally or whatever. Now, as coup and general manager, coup. Did I literally say that? Y'all know I'm tired, honey. I mean, as COO, okay? As COO and general manager, plaintiff structured high-value contracts, managed production schedules, orchestrated artist development, and created groundbreaking marketing strategies, ensuring Bad Boys artists achieved mainstream success. RG Titan said, can we just all get along? Honey, I wish we could. Okay, I wish we could. Now, with that all being said, plaintiff was responsible for executing multi-million-dollar deals, fostering artist partnerships, and building Bad Boy's reputation as a major player in the music industry. He was the chief negotiator and business strategist, or business strategist behind many of BBE's biggest commercial successes. Despite plaintiff's unparalleled contributions, he was systematically deceived and exploited by Sean Combs and defendant Janet Smalls, who leveraged plaintiff's trust and loyalty to consolidate power while excluding him from the financial rewards of his labor. Plaintiff was repeatedly promised equity and profit sharing in exchange for his continued dedication to BBE. Combs and Smalls assured plaintiff that he would receive 25% ownership and a 15% share of annual profits. Yet these promises were made in bad faith and with no intention of fulfillment. Yeah, this is all sounding real bad. This is all sounding real bad. And then here's the thing. If that other person, Best, decides to sue after all. So anyway, plaintiff turned down lucrative offers from rival labels, including Uptown Records, Elektra Records, and Sony Entertainment, based on Combs and Smalls' false assurances that he would receive his rightful stake in BBE. Instead, defendants orchestrated a fraudulent scheme to strip him of his stake while profiting from his work. Now Combs escalated his betrayal and financial sabotage, intentionally interfering with plaintiff's business relationships and contracts to destroy his ability to generate income, low, down, and nefarious. And I want you all to pay attention because they literally say by 2001, Combs escalated his betrayal and financial sabotage. Now, why is that important? Well, I'm so glad you asked, because when I did that video about Kirk Burrowes, I literally said that Diddy betrayed him, and on the thumbnail, that was the word I used, betrayal, because that's what it was. This man's helping you. Y'all are supposed to be teammates. Y'all are supposed to be working together. Both of y'all are supposed to be bosses, and you're sitting up here going to stab this man in the back, allegedly. And here's the thing. It has long been speculated that him and Mr. Burrowes had some things going on, Now, I don't know if that's true or not, and clearly I can't substantiate it, but, if that part is or was true, well, that might be why Diddy just felt like he can just have this man holding on and just keep running game on him, Because to be honest with you, if I was in a business arrangement like this with anybody, and then I feel like they're doing me dirty, or I'm not getting what I feel I should get, or I'm being left on the dark side and not being told about all the business transactions and things that are going on, I'm not privy to all sorts of information or whatever, and then I'm getting offers from Elektra and Sony and others, I think I would have just gotten the hell up out of there. So there was something that made him just want to stay there and continue to help them, even though he wasn't at the time being compensated, allegedly. So amongst the most egregious acts of misconduct, Sean Combs deliberately obstructed plaintiff's management contract with Mary J. Blige, an artist whom plaintiff rescued from financial collapse due to Diddy's prior mismanagement and fraudulent financial dealings. Also, Diddy had Mary J. Blige broke? That's what it sounds like he's saying. Now, these are all allegations, of course. Now, Combs engaged in fraudulent financial schemes, inflating Mary J. Blige's expense accounts by charging unauthorized expenses, fabricated service fees, and luxury purchases under false pretenses. These illicit transactions included charging personal expenses to Artist accounts such as designer clothing, private jets, luxury vacations, and unauthorized gifts. Let me tell y'all something. See, they like to do the stuff when they have artists and stuff. They'll sit up there and tell you you need to have a video to come out to make the song a hit, and then tell you to pay for it, or they'll pay for it, but then they'll take all of that money out of your money that you're supposed to get. Okay? They start deducting all these things that you may not even realize are going to be deducted. And that's why people need to really start doing their own research and finding this stuff out and getting an attorney and before they sign these contracts. And here's the thing. They're talking about designer clothing, private jets, luxury vacations, and unauthorized gifts. Honey, no. Okay? I wouldn't care how rich I was. I'm not going to be going anywhere on nobody's private jet. Okay? I'll just stick to flying first class. Please pay attention. Okay, this is all so wasteful. So one of the most egregious examples of financial fraud involved Combs' obsession with Tupac Shakur. Didn't I tell y'all he was obsessed with Tupac? Didn't I tell y'all he was obsessed with Tupac? Don't y'all remember? All right, don't y'all remember? Because at the end of the day, he started wearing Versace and all that stuff. Y'all remember I did a whole video and a TikTok about it, but let's continue. He attempted to mimic Tupac's style, purchasing Versace silk shirts and expensive accessories for himself while falsely expensing these purchases to Mary J. Blige's artist account. Is that what Diddy was doing? Oh, honey, this is all a hot mess. Now, plaintiff, as Mary J. Blige's business advisor, exposed and corrected these fraudulent transactions, renegotiated her contracts, and successfully brought her out of financial ruin. See how Diddy was doing Mary dirty too, allegedly, because with all these other people who were saying Diddy took their money, this, that, and the third, I said, well, it seems like the only people that he may not have stiffed was Lil Kim, Mary J. Blige, and who else? Faith Evans. Lil Kim, Mary J. Blige, and Faith Evans. Those are the only people that I feel like maybe he didn't do them dirty, but clearly he seems, according to this documentation, seems like he may have possibly been taking money from Mary J. Blige's account too. Money they set aside for her to work on her projects or whatever. And then also money that was supposed to go in her pockets because she was on the brink of financial ruin, allegedly. So plaintiff was the architect behind Mary J. Blige's resurgence, securing one of her most commercially successful tracks, Family Affair, by negotiating a production deal with Dr. Dre. Now, as retaliation for plaintiff's refusal to condone financial misconduct, Sean Combs, aided by Kenneth Marsalis, deliberately orchestrated the termination of plaintiff's contracts, ensuring that plaintiff was completely blacklisted from the music industry. Combs and his associates interfered with plaintiff's business deals, intimidated industry executives, and ensured that plaintiff was excluded from any new opportunities, effectively crippling his career and financial stability. Honey, I probably would have done something a long time ago if this had been me. Honey, I probably would have done something about Diddy and his mama a long time ago, honey. Okay, please pay attention. Now, I'm not talking about filing papers. Okay, I'm not talking about filing papers. At the end of the day, I might have had to employ, listen, when you play with my money, now you're playing with my emotions, okay? That's all I'm saying. And I may have had to, use some of Diddy's own tactics on him, okay? I may have had to use some of his very own tactics on him, like holding a chair over his head, like he allegedly did Lori Ann Gibson, or getting me a good old champagne bottle and saying, look here, sucker. I don't know who you and your mama think y'all effing with, but y'all better run me my money or it's going to be some problems up in here, okay? All right, King Kai gifted 50 memberships to the channel. Thank you, beloved. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for that. Y'all, please make sure you shout out King Kai. Moderators, let's get some fire emojis in the chat. That was very generous. Thank you, beloved. Peace, love, and blessings. You all shout him out, and especially those of you who get these memberships. Okay, please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, defendant's coordinated scheme deprived plaintiff not only of his rightful earnings, but also of his ability to earn a living, forcing him into financial destitution and professional exile. This is also sad. Like, when you think about stuff like this, you really have to think about how the person was on top, okay? How some of these people were on top and then how they just fell to the bottom. And there's allegedly a lot of blacklisting that goes on in the music and entertainment industry. Okay, and I'm not talking about Diddy, I'm talking about period. Okay, we've heard of many people being blacklisted. Let's not forget what happened to Monique, honey. Okay, this is all so crazy, but let me continue. So anyway, goes on to say, as recently as 2020, defendant Smalls contacted plaintiff seeking his assistance in creating a historical documentary about the label. Now, in exchange for this, for the plaintiff's agreement. No, I'm sorry. In exchange for this, it should be this. They have his. Okay, a typo, I'm sure. Okay, in exchange for this, plaintiff agreed and prepared a detailed production treatment, including records, photos, and other evidence from the label's history. Defendant Smalls used plaintiff's contributions to advance her project, but refused to compensate plaintiff or include him in the production, breaching their agreement. So he wasn't included in the production. So that was going against the agreement because they clearly had all of this pre-arranged and had talked about this. Okay, and this was included in the contract. Now, allegedly. Now, this conversation was one of many conversations between plaintiff and Miss Smalls, where plaintiff questioned her knowledge and involvement with the 1995 stock takeover. As she had done on multiple occasions, defendant Smalls intentionally lied, denying any knowledge and or involvement. Now, who does this sound like? Who does this sound like, just going off of the artists that we have heard complain about Diddy, like Mace, for example, like Locks? You all remember that video I did and I played the argument when they were going at it, the Locks and Diddy? It was also egregious, honey. This is what it's given. Now, in 2024, plaintiff, through legal counsel, discovered that defendant Smalls had been lying about her involvement in the forced involuntary transfer of plaintiff's ownership interest, and that she was the direct beneficiary of the conspiracy orchestrated by Kenneth Masalis, Sean Combs, and others. Okay, let me tell y'all something. See, this is what I be talking about when I say some of these legal beagles, these legal eagles, these attorneys, they be engaging in shady practices. Yeah, they really do, just to get their money up. Now, I'm not saying Kenneth Masalis did anything, but I'm saying some of these lawyers absolutely do. You all know that I said that days ago when me and Gavin Richard Esquire were on here having a discussion. This is all so nefarious. Now, as previously stated, plaintiff was a pivotal figure in the creation and success of BBE as general manager and later president. He oversaw operations, corporate management, budgeting, and artist development. Plaintiff dedicated his skills and resources to the company, even personally investing approximately $100,000 to cover operational expenses between 1992 and 1994. Now, if these things are all true, this seems like they were so ungrateful. Like they just used this man up and threw him away like a Kleenex after you're done blowing your nose, okay? This all is just like so low down. This man put in $100,000 according to him. And then y'all got him doing all this work and don't even want to compensate this man. Like, please make that make sense. Plaintiff's compensation was initially minimal, starting at $30,000 annually, despite the company generating significant profits. Plaintiff was contracted to receive 15% of the company's profits and a 25% equity stake as compensation for his role in BBE's establishment and success. Now, this contract was consistently reiterated by Sean Combs, but never honored. Despite contributing significantly to BBE's growth, plaintiff was subjected to intimidation and coercion. As previously stated, in May of 1996, defendants, through threat of physical harm, forced plaintiff to relinquish his 25% equity interest in the company. The location of this incident was on West 19th Street in New York City, and this was achieved through a calculated and coordinated effort involving Kenneth Masalis and Sean Combs. Now, I want you all to pay attention also, because another thing is, for those of you who tuned in on that day when I was reading excerpts from Mark Curry, the former employee of Bad Boy, who was a rapper and writer, not the comedian, but that book that he wrote, how Diddy burned the bad boys of hip hop, Dancing with the Devil, how Diddy burned the bad boys of hip hop. If you remember in that book, I read to you also about what Mark Curry was saying about the dealings between Diddy and Kirk Burrowes and how he did that man. Okay, so Mark Curry said the same thing in his book. Now, upon information and belief, due to her decades of feigned ignorance and deceptive denials, plaintiff believes Kenneth Marsalis was acting under defendant Smalls' direction. So your mama was calling the shots, Diddy? No wonder they called her a mastermind, honey, because that's what they called her. They said that Miss Janice Combs, aka Janice Smalls, was the mastermind behind all of this, okay? And when they call out the names and give the list of the co-conspirators next month, I cannot wait to see if her name will be amongst those, okay? Listed as co-conspirators, because it just might. And I told y'all that. Now, when Sean Combs and Kenneth Marsalis entered the plaintiff's offices, Sean Combs was carrying a baseball bat, honey. Please pay attention, okay? By words and actions, Sean Combs and Kenneth Marsalis frightened and intimidated and assaulted plaintiff and forced him to turn over his share certificate for 25 shares of BBE to Sean Combs, who then transferred them to Janice Smalls. Honey, they would have had to run me up out of there. I'm sorry, honey. Y'all not going to just leave me high and dry. I'm put my money, my heart, soul, sweat, blood, tears, and everything into this. My creative juices flowing, and I'm up here getting contracts and getting artists, you know, developing artists and all this stuff. And y'all think y'all just gonna snatch up what little coins I had coming to me for my shares? Honey, y'all better miss me with it. Honey, I would have picked up the whole table and threw it at him and ran, honey. Please pay attention. Coming up in there with a baseball bat, honey, and I'm sitting up in the office, honey, I would have picked up a chair, threw it at both of their arses, and got the hell up out of there. Okay? Ran straight to the, I would have run straight to the feds, honey, okay? Please pay attention. They was doing a whole lot, but let me go on. Now, upon information and belief, Janice Smalls signed the certificates, filed them with the appropriate government entities, and in addition to obtaining the share certificate by threats and intimidation, Sean Combs and Kenneth Marsalis intimidated and coerced plaintiff into signing documents releasing plaintiff of his equity interest in BBE. So you mean to tell me this man's a whole attorney, Kenneth Marsalis, and you were sitting up there threatening people, intimidating people too? This is all alleged, mind you, but Kenneth Marsalis, I have several questions. Now, goes on to say, even after the coerced transfer, defendants continue to exploit plaintiff's skills and resources, leveraging his contributions to further enrich themselves. Defendant Smalls, under false pretenses, solicited plaintiff's assistance for a documentary project exploiting his meticulous records and intellectual property without providing the promised compensation or credit. Defendant's actions have caused plaintiff irreparable harm, depriving him of rightful financial benefits, damaging his professional reputation, and leaving him in financial ruin. All nefarious. Now, and here's a picture of Kirk Burrowes right here with little old Miss Janice Smalls, aka Janice Combs, hugging him like they're besties. Plaintiff Kirk Burrowes and defendant Smalls seemingly shared a profoundly personal and familial relationship built on trust, mutual support, and shared ambitions. So he thought. Because if what he says is true, honey, she had ambitions, okay, of grandeur, as far as I'm concerned, and being filthy rich and leaving nothing for him, not even a crumb. Now, plaintiff is the godfather of Sean Combs' firstborn child, Justin Dior Combs, underscoring the deep bond and reliance between the families. How could you do this to your son's godfather? Look at there. Look at little Justin. Plaintiff even attended Justin Combs' christening at the historic Abyssinian Baptist Church in Harlem, New York, where the late great Pastor Calvin Otis Butts presided. And there they are at the christening. Look at Diddy. Then brought the devil up into the church, honey, for a christening. Now, plaintiff served as the backbone of BBE, acting as both a trusted business strategist and personal confidant to defendant Smalls. He not only oversaw critical financial and operational affairs, but also provided unwavering support, ensuring Smalls' stability and positioning her for financial and professional success. Plaintiff's commitment to Smalls was rooted in loyalty, trust, and shared ambitions. Now, in the summer of 1992, after Sean Combs' abrupt termination from Uptown Records by Andre Harrell, Combs spiraled into deep depression, plagued by self-doubt and suicidal ideation. And that's suicidal with an S. Okay, self-deletion. Recognizing the urgency of the situation, plaintiffs stepped in as Combs' stabilizing force, offering emotional fortitude, strategic business insight, and a clear vision for the future. Now, see, this is all so sad. If this is true, how are you going to sit up there and the very person who helped you get your business off the ground, the very person who was there for you to lean on them and to talk you down off the ledge when you were thinking about taking yourself out, Diddy, this is how you do this, man? If this is all true, and I believe it is, low down, dirty devil. Ooh, Diddy is low down. Plaintiff was the primary architect behind Combs' resurgence, crafting the blueprint that led to the birth of BBE. Without plaintiff's intervention, Combs' career and the eventual empire of BBE would have ceased to exist. Now, recognizing plaintiff's indispensable contributions and leadership, defendant Smalls and contractually obligated BBE to pay plaintiff no less than 15% of the company's annual profits for every year he served as general manager or president of the company. Plaintiff relentlessly dedicated his time, industry expertise, and financial resources toward the development, rapid growth, and sustained success of BBE. Despite being the cornerstone of the label's operations, plaintiff was initially uncompensated for his invaluable services. Now, by early 1993, he was finally added to payroll at a meager $30,000 a year. What? Okay, now I'm going to have to believe these allegations that him and Diddy did. What's really going on here? Who would be doing all of this? Who would be doing all of this? And then they're going to finally offer to pay you, but they only want to give you a meager $30,000 per year, a fraction of what he rightfully deserved, given his instrumental role in building the company's foundation. Now, on information and belief, the 15% share of BBE's annual profits that was contractually owed to plaintiff between 1993 and 1994 far exceeded the salary he was paid. Plaintiff's rightful earnings amounted to trillions of dollars, which were systematically withheld, depriving him of his fair share in the company's financial windfall. Now, in 1993, prominent business manager Bert Padell executed the issuance of 25 shares of BBE, formally allocating ownership stakes to Janice Smalls and Sean Combs. Following Padell's issuance of the shares, Sean Combs and Janice Smalls formally transferred 25 shares to plaintiff, honoring their agreement to grant him an equity stake in the company. A substitute share certificate for 25 shares was issued in plaintiff's name, signifying his official and legally binding ownership in BBE. Okay, this is a whole lot. This is a whole lot. I'm going to see if I still look like I'm lagging, you guys. Hopefully it's fixed. Okay, Vince I Am says only a devil would be doing so much nefarious shenanigans. Okay, Marie says it's believable based on how he treated his artists. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Let's not forget what Mace came out and said about him and put him on blast and called out his mama too. Remember that? He said, where the receipts? Ninja, talk about you got receipts. Where the receipts? Your mama got the receipts, Ninja. Remember that? Y'all remember that video I showed? Honey, Mace went in on him. Your mama got the receipts, Ninja. Where your mama at? Oh, he was going in. And here she is. Clearly, she did have those receipts. Please pay attention. So, plaintiff's tireless efforts, strategic foresight, and unrelenting work ethic were the driving force behind BBE's meteoric rise. Okay, now through his innovative branding, high-level negotiations, and tactical business structuring, plaintiff orchestrated some of the label's most successful ventures and marketing campaigns, elevating BBE to industry dominance. Let me just stop to tell you all something. I'm not going to keep stopping because this is a long document. But here's the thing, and I may not read all of it, but here's the thing. What I find interesting is, you know, Diddy seems to be, you know, based on the things that not just Kirk Burrowes have said, but the girls from Danity Kane, the men from Day 26, other artists like Locks, Mace, other people who have worked with him, Black Rob before he passed away. It just seems like Diddy was not only power hungry, but he just had such a love for money. He wanted all the money for himself. But here's the thing, you know, in life, you get more flies with honey than you do vinegar. If you have a man who is very business oriented, intellectual, and he's, you know, doing all of this work for you and helping your company to get off the ground and helping you with your artists and all of these things that he supposedly was doing, you should want to absolutely compensate this person so that they stay around. You should want to keep and maintain a good and healthy working business relationship with them. You could make even more money. But you see, some people only see what's right in front of them. They're not looking at the bigger picture, because in some cases, if you have this person, you know, and you're compensating them for their time and effort and all that they're doing, they can do even more. They can bring you even more business. They can do even more marketing. They can make you even bigger than you are, more larger than life. But it just seems like sometimes people are just looking right in front of them. They can't see past that. Okay, all they can see is the here and now, and they want the money, 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 to the detriment of others. Okay, so anyway, now, despite his foundational role in long-standing personal bond with defendant Smalls, plaintiff was ruthlessly betrayed. Defendant Smalls, in a calculated move to consolidate power and financial control, executed a deliberate scheme to exclude plaintiff from the company. Smalls colluded with Kenneth Masalis, Sean Combs, and other unknown defendants to strip plaintiff of his ownership rights, disregarding his invaluable contributions, personal sacrifices, and the trust that had once defined their relationship. The systematic exclusion of plaintiff from the company's financial benefits and operational structure was not only a flagrant breach of contractual agreements, but a deliberate act of financial and professional sabotage designed to erase his contributions while unjustly enriching the defendants. As a direct consequence of this betrayal, plaintiff has suffered severe financial hardship, reputational damage, and emotional distress, while Sean Combs and Janice Combs have continued to reap the financial rewards of plaintiff's labor, ingenuity, and investments. Now, in 1993, plaintiff was formally granted 25 shares of BBE, constituting a 25% equity stake in the company. This ownership interest was a direct recognition of plaintiff's foundational role in the creation, development, and success of BBE. However, despite this legally recognized stake, Sean Combs and Janice Smalls systematically deprived plaintiff of his rightful ownership and earnings, misleading him with repeated false promises of compensation and equity restoration. Doesn't this sound like what Rodney Jones alleged in his lawsuit filings? That Diddy kept promising he's going to give him $250,000. He's going to help him to win the Grammy for Best Producer of the Year award or whatever. Okay, making all these promises. And then in the end, Rodney says he didn't even get a single dime. Didn't even get a single dime. Now, for more than 2 decades, from 1993 through 2019, Sean Combs and Janice Smalls engaged in a pattern of deception, assuring plaintiff that he would receive his owed profits from BBE. Each time plaintiff sought formal compensation or the return of his shares, he was met with deliberate stalling tactics and empty assurances. In 2019, at Diana Ross's birthday celebration, Sean Combs and Janice Smalls once again acknowledged their fraudulent conduct, promising plaintiff that they would make things right regarding the wrongful theft of his 25% shares and unpaid 15% share of BBE's annual profits. This moment was a rare verbal admission of liability, yet no corrective actions followed. Here's the thing. Why was he believing them after this? After they sat there and punked you out of your paperwork, after they sit there and coerced and threatened you, allegedly, after they've done this, him and Ben Masalis, or Diddy and Ben Masalis, or Kenneth Masalis, I'm sorry, not Ben. After they've done this, I wouldn't want anything to do with you. I would have immediately gone and filed a lawsuit back then. I would not be sitting there trying to, talk to them and negotiate still, because all they were doing was just stalling him the whole time, allegedly. Now, during this conversation, Janice Smalls directly requested plaintiff's assistance in developing a BBE documentary. In exchange, Smalls promised that plaintiff would finally be compensated, reimbursed for his stolen 25% ownership, and paid the 15% earnings he was contractually owed. Okay, now this is getting real repetitive. Okay, I'm going to skip past some of this because, honey, we don't have all day to keep repeating the same thing over and over. Okay, so let's go to discovery of fraud. All right. So for several years, plaintiff has endured immense financial hardship, leading to homelessness and prolonged periods of living in shelters across New York City. And see, that's the thing. How in the world could you allow someone that you once were friends and business partners with, someone whom you trusted and cared enough about, to make them the godfather of your own first child? How could you sit there and know that this person's homeless, going from shelter to shelter, suffering financial hardship, and you know that you took away the shares that they had through threats and coercion and intimidation? Got to be heartless if this is all true. Got to be a heartless person to do that. There's no way I could do that to anybody, okay, that I once cared about. Now, anyway, goes on to say, deprived of his rightful 25% ownership stake in BBE and his 15% share of the company profits, plaintiff was deliberately forced into financial ruin as part of a coordinated effort to deprive him of legal recourse and investigative resources. Throughout this time, plaintiff persistently sought accountability from defendant Janet Smalls, who engaged in a deliberate campaign of deception. Smalls repeatedly and falsely assured plaintiff that she had no involvement in or knowledge of the fraudulent transfer of his ownership shares. As recently as 2020, Smalls reaffirmed her false claims, shifting blame entirely onto Sean Combs and Kenneth Masalis, while knowingly concealing her direct involvement and financial gain from the fraudulent transfer. Plaintiff was systematically misled and manipulated, left to believe that pursuing legal action against Smalls would be fruitless. The false assurances and continuous gaslighting tactics used by Smalls effectively obstructed plaintiff's ability to challenge the fraudulent misappropriation of his equity stake, leaving him financially incapacitated and unable to access legal representation. So he couldn't even afford an attorney, you guys. He couldn't even afford an attorney. And how could he? I mean, he was in a shelter some of the time, according to the documents. Now, in early 2024, plaintiff unexpectedly reconnected with an estranged family member who, after hearing plaintiff's account of events and financial struggles, urged him to seek legal intervention and pursue justice. Recognizing the egregious nature of the fraud perpetrated against plaintiff, this family member swiftly intervened, securing legal counsel to investigate the fraudulent transfer of plaintiff's ownership interest in BBE. Now, the footnote says, although plaintiff was homeless at the time of making this agreement, in reliance on the assurance of Janet Smalls and Sean Combs, he used an old laptop, created the documentary write-up, made several copies of the documentary write-up, and mailed hard copies to Miss Smalls. Oh my God. Do you all hear this? This is heartbreaking. I'm sorry. This is really heartbreaking for me. Are y'all listening to this? This man was homeless at the time of making this agreement. How are you doing business with a man who you know is homeless? Sitting there trying to get all this stuff together and created the documentary write-up on an old laptop, no less. Then mailed hard copies to Miss Smalls. Plaintiff then texts Miss Smalls the banking information for a friend that he trusts so she can begin remitting payment, because he didn't even have his own darn bank account. Due to his homeless status, plaintiff did not have a personal bank account. This is, Lord have mercy. They left this man high and dry. If these allegations are true, and I believe they are, this is sad as hell. Diddy, you and your mama are low down dirty devils who need to be dealt with in the court of law, as far as I'm concerned. Now, this is really ticking me off, okay? How do you do somebody like this? Vince, I am saying, you know those heathens have issues with the queen. Who has issues with the queen, honey? Honey, let me tell y'all something. Y'all talking about ScrewTube? Because Vince I am says ScrewTube Popo, pay attention to the disclaimer, beloveds. Hold on, what's going on? Why are y'all talking about the queen? What's going on? I'm trying to figure it all out. Hold on. Well, anyway, nonetheless, let me keep going. The Inkwell says Diddy makes the Inkwell said Diddy makes Scrooge look like Santa Claus. Okay. Clearly. I mean, Diddy is worse than the Grinch who stole Christmas. Low down dirty devil. It's Bree to you said, wow, they approved the $5,000. Sheila said, that's a shame. It is a darn shame, okay? This is all sad. Okay, Vince I said, screw to Popo Queen. Oh, honey, you know how they be doing, beloved. Okay. So what's going on? Is the live messing up? Oh, y'all are saying people didn't get notifications, honey. Y'all know I can't do nothing about it. Latasha said, Queen said, hold up, wait, stop the tape. Okay, Troy said he's not getting notifications. I'm sorry, beloved, but listen, Troy, you or anyone else who's not receiving notifications, please double check to make sure that you're still subscribed to the channel, because they literally unsubscribe people after every broadcast. I'm not even joking, you guys. Please double check to make sure you're still subscribed. Troy said, I just looked up. Okay, you did, beloved. You just having to pop on here, huh? And see I was live. It's all nefarious, honey. ScrewTube needs to leave the Portal Low Queen alone. All I'm trying to do is put out the news. Why are they hating on me? What did I ever do to deserve it? But let me continue. Maybe I need to sue them like Kirk Burrowes is suing Diddy's mama, honey. So anyway, goes on to say, hold on, where was I at? Hold on, let me go back and find my place. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, I had just read the footnote. Okay, so we're on to the next page. Now, during the course of this investigation, irrefutable evidence surfaced confirming that in or around 1998, defendant Smalls had secretly received and unlawfully taken control of plaintiff's 25% ownership stake in the BBE. Let me tell y'all something, honey. Now, if this is true, Diddy's mama needs to be ashamed of herself, but I'm sure she isn't, because like her son, she clearly has no shame, okay? Please pay attention. This is the same lady who came out there drunk in that green dress when she was on the red carpet. Y'all remember that? And y'all can't tell me she wasn't tipsy as hell, because she sure looked like it, allegedly. All right? Mm-hmm. So she not only sat here and told this man allegedly that she didn't know anything about the transfer, okay, that they used coercion and intimidation to do, said she didn't know anything about it, had no idea. But you mean to tell him that not only did she know everything about it, but she's the one who benefited from it, more so, because she's the one who took control of his 25% ownership, okay? This discovery directly refuted defendant Smalls' decades-long denials and unmasked her as a central architect of the fraudulent scheme alongside Sean Combs and Kenneth Masalis. Contrary to her repeated assertions of innocence, Smalls had not only profited from the unlawful transfer, but had actively conspired to suppress all knowledge of her receipt of plaintiff's shares. The newly uncovered documentation and financial records unequivocally proved that Smalls engaged in fraudulent concealment, preventing plaintiff from discovering the true nature of the misappropriation and delaying his ability to pursue rightful legal claims. And let me just stop for a minute and say, for those of you who missed the broadcast that I did earlier, the morning live, please make sure you go back and watch it. If you missed it, I had the documentation, the proof and receipts of how Diddy's attorneys are now trying to prevent BuzzFeed from being able to get approved for his pro vice motion that he has filed so that he can practice in the Southern District of New York. This is all a shame. Now, the newly uncovered documentation and financial records unequivocally proved that Smalls engaged in fraudulent concealment, preventing plaintiff from discovering the true nature of the misappropriation and delaying his ability to pursue rightful legal claims. This orchestrated, concealment deprived plaintiff of his legal rights, financial stability, and industry reputation, ensuring that Smalls and her co-conspirators could continue to reap the financial benefits of plaintiff's hard-earned contributions while plaintiff languished in destitution. Do you know how mad I would be? I would be, oh my God, I would be so livid, even more livid than I am right now, because it didn't even happen to me. But had something like this happened to me, and I'm sitting up here living in a damn homeless shelter while you're living high off the hog, you're riding around in private jets, you're going out here on yachts, you're going on fancy vacations and trips, and y'all asses are living lavish. And I'm sitting up here with an old ass laptop and your mama done stole my shares, allegedly. Honey, it would have been hell on wheels. Do you hear me? Okay, do you hear me? You know how petty us Pisces are. Honey, I would have gone through hell and high water to get some get back. But let me continue. because clearly I digress. Now, as a direct and immediate result of these findings, plaintiff's fraud and breach of fiduciary duty claims became ripe for adjudication, leading to the initiation of legal proceedings against Smalls and her co-conspirators to recover his rightful ownership stake, financial damages, and punitive compensation for decades of willful deception and financial sabotage. Plaintiff incorporates by reference all proceedings paragraphs as if fully set forth herein as a business partner, trusted confidant, and fiduciary defendant Smalls owed plaintiff a heightened duty of honesty, transparency, and fairness regarding their shared business interest in BBE. This duty arose from their long-standing professional and personal relationship, their daily interactions, and the trust plaintiff placed in Smalls to act in good faith. Courts have consistently held that where a fiduciary relationship exists, a heightened duty of loyalty and full disclosure is required. Okay, because so when somebody's sitting up here smiling in your face, giving you hugs, and act like y'all is just such the best of friends and they're so down for you and all of that, and then they turn around and give you a hug and stick the knife in your back. Isn't that something? Throughout their partnership, defendant Smalls and plaintiff engaged in continuous and detailed discussions at BBE's operations, finances, and long-term strategies. These communications created a reasonable expectation of mutual candor, fiduciary loyalty, and transparency. Now, defendant Smalls intentionally weaponized plaintiff's trust and unwavering support, methodically manipulating their relationship to facilitate her fraudulent actions while misrepresenting her role in the illicit misappropriation of plaintiff's ownership stake in BBE. Courts have found that fraudulent concealment occurs when a party in a fiduciary relationship deliberately withholds material facts that the other party had a right to know. Holding that active concealment of material facts can give rise to a claim for fraud. Smalls carefully maintained a facade of integrity, portraying herself as an innocent bystander when she was clearly anything but, allegedly, while orchestrating plaintiff's financial and professional downfall behind the scenes. Like I told you all many times, specifically on the spiritual channel, that sometimes people will smile in your face and act like they're cheering you on, like they're your biggest cheerleader, but really secretly plotting and waiting all the while to have a front row seat at your demise. That's what this all sounds like. That is exactly what this all sounds like. Plotting for his downfall behind the scenes. Now, using plaintiff's trust as leverage, defendant Smalls repeatedly misrepresented her role, claiming she had no knowledge of the coercion, fraud, and misappropriation orchestrated by Sean Combs and Kenneth Masalis. Courts have ruled that fraud is actionable when a defendant knowingly makes false statements with intent to deceive the plaintiff, causing damages. Now, in reality, Smalls played a direct and active role in the conspiracy, ensuring that plaintiff remained unaware of her complicity and financial gain. Okay? Now, in one of the most egregious acts of betrayal, Smalls knowingly and deliberately concealed her acceptance of plaintiff's 25% ownership interest, maintaining the deception for decades. Through false assurances and calculated deceit, defendant Smalls led plaintiff to believe that she had no knowledge of the fraudulent transfer, effectively suppressing any opportunity for plaintiff to reclaim his rightful stake in BBE. Now, these assurances were not mere omissions, but affirmative misrepresentations made with the intent to obstruct plaintiff's legal rights. For decades, Small actively concealed material facts about her receipt of plaintiff's equity stake and the substantial financial benefits she derived from the fraudulent transfer. Plaintiff reasonably relied on Smalls' falsehoods, believing that she had not taken part in the scheme and that she had no financial interest in its outcome. The truth was exposed in 2024 when legal counsel obtained definitive evidence proving that Smalls had lawfully received and retained plaintiff's 25% ownership interest in BBE as early as 1998. I want y'all to think about that for a second. You're sitting up here thinking all this time this woman has your back, she's cool with you, she didn't do anything shady, and you find out that you mean to tell me she's had your own interest, your money, your coins, your shares, your stake since 1998. Yeah, I would be clearly pressed. Now, this discovery unraveled decades of calculated deceit, exposing Smalls as a central figure in the fraudulent scheme that deprived plaintiff of his wealth, business, and financial stability. As a direct and foreseeable result of defendant Smalls' fraudulent concealment, plaintiff suffered extensive financial and emotional damages, including but not limited to: number one, the wrongful deprivation of his 25% ownership interest in BBE, valued in the millions. The unlawful withholding of his 15% share in BBE's profits, amounting to substantial lost revenue. 3, severe financial ruin, forcing plaintiff into a state of homelessness and economic devastation. 4, systematic reputational sabotage, as plaintiff was blacklisted and stripped of his rightful position in the entertainment industry. 5, profound emotional distress, psychological anguish, and prolonged hardship stemming from the financial and personal betrayal by a trusted business partner. You know what this is all making me think, you guys? This is all making me think that Janet Combs probably did the same thing to other people. Because let's not forget, Best said that he was going to sue her a few months ago. He came out, and I reported on that, like I just showed you all the clip, where he was saying he was going to sue her. And then think about all these people that Diddy has not given publishing to and all of this stuff. And then he recently gave back some of the publishing when he knew he was going to be facing lawsuits, okay? When he knew that him and Cassie was about to go toe-to-toe. Okay, but then he told the people, oh, I'll give you back your publishing, but you have to sign an NDA saying that you won't say anything negative about me, my mama, Justin. Now it's all making sense, because I was thinking, why would he think they're going to say anything negative about him, his mother, and Justin? Well, because his mama and Justin have some of these things in their names and have likely financially benefited from some of these people's losses. No wonder Mace was going in. Okay, so anyway, this is just all a hot mess. Now, goes on to say, number 4, systematic reputational sabotage, as plaintiff was blacklisted and stripped of his rightful position in the entertainment industry. Number 5, profound emotional distress, psychological anguish, and prolonged hardship stemming from the financial and personal betrayal by a trusted business partner. Defendant Smalls' actions were not only fraudulent, but calculated, malicious, and executed with a blatant disregard for plaintiff's rights. The depth of Smalls' deception and the extent of plaintiff's damages necessitate substantial compensatory and punitive damages to fully redress the harm inflicted and deter similar fraudulent conduct in the future. Now, the complaint must explicitly state the legal and factual basis for tolling the statute of limitations to counter any defense raised by defendant that claims that the claims are time barred. And see, that's what I was wondering. I'm like, wait a minute, isn't this perhaps past the statute of limitations? Now, it says here, fraudulent concealment as a basis for tolling. Under New York law, the statute of limitations for fraud is 6 years from the date of the fraudulent act or 2 years from discovery. However, when a defendant engages in fraudulent concealment to prevent a plaintiff from discovering the fraud, the statute of limitations is tolled. Do y'all hear that? Do y'all hear that? So because she sat there and played these little mind games with this man, now she's able to get sued. Okay? Now she is able to get sued, but let's continue. Now, defendants engaged in a decades-long scheme of fraudulent concealment, intentionally misrepresenting and withholding material facts related to the fraudulent transfer of plaintiff's 25% ownership interest and 15% profit share. Okay, I'm going to skip past some of this because, again, it's been repetitive. Okay, New York law recognizes that equitable tolling applies when a plaintiff, despite due diligence, was prevented from discovering the fraudulent conduct. Okay, because he said she did everything she could in her power to suppress this information. Now, plaintiff, due to his financial distress, homelessness, and lack of resources, was unable to retain legal counsel or even investigate the wrongful acts until 2024. This is also sad. That man been broke all this time, clearly. That's what it sounds like. Has been broke all this time. Defendant's pattern of deception and concealment actively prevented plaintiff from bringing his claims within the statutory period. Upon information and belief, defendants took affirmative steps to suppress records, manipulate corporate filings, and obscure financial transactions, all of which delayed plaintiff's ability to uncover the fraud. Now, continuing wrong doctrine. Defendant's fraudulent conduct was not a single event, but an ongoing scheme that continued beyond 1996 and well into 2020, warranting the application of the continuing wrong doctrine. Each year that plaintiff was denied his rightful 15% share of profits and his 25% ownership stake, defendants continued their wrongful conduct. Now, upon information and belief, defendants knowingly withheld annual financial distributions, continued making misrepresentations, and engaged in further acts to suppress plaintiff's rights, making the fraud an ongoing violation. So I want you all to pay attention, because see, the fact that they allegedly made it an ongoing violation, that means that it was never ending. That means that they kept the fraud going. And that's, beloveds, is why there is no statute of limitations on it, because they kept it on going, okay? They kept hiding the truth, kept telling lies and being deceitful, according to him. Now, defendants' bad faith and delay tactics. So in 2019, at Diana Ross's VIP event, Sean Combs and Janice Smalls admitted wrongdoing, claiming they needed to make things right. However, this was yet another delay tactic designed to prevent plaintiff from making or taking legal action. Upon information and belief, defendants deliberately misled plaintiff with false assurances of eventual restitution, lulling him into inaction while they continued profiting from his stolen ownership interest. See, they couldn't have played me for this long. They might have played me for a minute, but baby, it's no way you would have played me for decades, and you would have kept giving me these stalling tactics and gaslighting and deflecting me. That's what you wouldn't have been able to get away with, because at some point I'd have woke up and said, hey, hold the hell up here. Okay, this is not looking like it's supposed to look. The math ain't mathing. New York courts have held that fraudulent concealment tolls the statute of limitations when a defendant's deception prevents the plaintiff from discovering their claim. Okay, so where a fiduciary relationship exists, the heightened duty of disclosure is imposed, and concealment by a fiduciary toll the limitations period. Okay, so that's not even applicable here. Defendant Janice Smalls cannot assert a laches or statute of limitations defense because she actively engaged in fraudulent concealment to prevent plaintiff from discovering the wrongful deprivation of his 25% ownership interest in BBE. Now, what do y'all think about all this? Because I find it all so nefarious. Hold on, beloveds. Hold on 1 second, okay? Before I continue, OG Patrice says, Queen, remember, I mentioned to you that Kirk Burrowes and Cream Puff Honeycomb relationship goes back to their college days at Howard. Yes, beloved. Thank you. You absolutely did. I forgot about that. It's sad that he did this to Kirk when he helped Diddy start BBE. It is sad. Okay, it is very darn sad. Okay. Southwest Houston, Texas says, I still think they will toss it out for statute of limitations. You think so, beloved? You know, I don't know. Hold on. Let me check something real quick. As a matter of fact, I'm about to check something real quick. And while I'm checking this, you all have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes. Likes up, everyone, please. Don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, beloveds, don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes for your hair. Sorry, I accidentally muted myself. Don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes oil for your hair at Etsy.com. Look for Lisa Crafts, and you can also find it at Walmart.com. Okay, so here's the thing. I wanted to see what lashes, what this exactly means. Define, assert a lashes. That's what he said. Now, here's what they say. Asserting lashes is a legal defense that a defendant uses to prevent a plaintiff from bringing a claim due to an unreasonable delay. Okay. It is also known as estoppel by lashes. Okay. So that's what that is. And that's why there's no statute of limitations. Now, Southwest Houston, Texas says that they may toss it out anyway. Well, you know, they just might. But hopefully they won't, because I really want Kirk Burrowes, if what he's saying is true, I really want him to get his just due, because this is all just really egregious, in my opinion. I mean, this man living homeless and going from shelter to shelter while they're living lavish at his expense after all he did to get that business off the ground. This is just sick to me. It is really bothersome, okay? So anyway, goes on to say that defendant Janice Smalls cannot assert a laches or statute of limitations defense because she actively engaged in fraudulent concealment to prevent plaintiff from discovering the wrongful deprivation of his 25% ownership interest in BBE and his 15% share of BBE's annual earnings. Under New York law, when a defendant intentionally conceals a cause of action, the statute of limitations is tolled, okay, until the plaintiff discovers or reasonably should have discovered the fraud. So for decades, defendant Smalls deliberately misled plaintiff by making false statements and omissions designed to obscure her role in the fraudulent misappropriation of his equity stake. The following actions illustrate how plaintiff was prevented from discovering the fraud until 2024. They say defendant Smalls affirmatively denied any involvement in the wrongful stock transfer each time plaintiff questioned her about his missing 25% ownership stake. She lied, claiming she had no knowledge of the transfer and had never received his shares. Defendant Smalls repeatedly blamed others to deflect responsibility. She shifted blame to Sean Combs and Kenneth Masalis. Okay, throwing Diddy under the bus. Honey, Diddy and his mama seems like they'll both throw each other under the bus. Okay, that's what it seems like. Now, falsely portraying herself as a bystander rather than a direct beneficiary of the fraudulent transfer. Now, defendant Smalls exploited plaintiff's trust to delay legal action. Plaintiff and defendant Smalls shared a long-standing professional and personal relationship, with plaintiff even serving as the godfather to Sean Combs' firstborn child. Plaintiff reasonably relied on her statements and had no reason to believe she would intentionally deceive him for decades. In 2019, defendant Smalls falsely assured plaintiff that she and Sean Combs would make things right. Okay, now they talk about that Diana Ross event again. Now I'm going to skip past this because here they go being repetitive again. I don't know why all of this stuff is being repetitive or being repeated time and time again, saying the same darn thing. They talking again about him being homeless. Okay, I'm going to pass all that. Fraudulent schemes, pre-judgment and post-judgment. Hold on, let me see what's going on right here. Okay, wherefore, hold on. Let me go to the top of this page. Okay, as a direct and proximate result of defendant Smalls' fraudulent misrepresentations, concealment, and deliberate malfeasance, plaintiff has suffered extensive damages in an amount to be determined at trial. Plaintiff seeks full restitution, compensatory damages for lost earnings, and punitive damages to deter similar fraudulent conduct in the future. Wherefore, plaintiff demands judgment against defendants as follows. A, for compensatory damages in an amount sufficient to fully compensate plaintiff for the loss of his 25% ownership interest in BBE, including its appraised value, lost profits, and any additional financial harms directly caused by defendant Smalls' fraudulent actions. B, additionally, plaintiff was an independent audit was an independent audit of BBE's earnings from inception to present day. Oh, I think that should say that additionally plaintiff wants, not was. Okay, there's numerous typos in here. So additionally, plaintiff wants an independent audit of the earnings from inception to present day. Yeah, I would too, because they owe him 15% interest for every year. Okay. Now, compensate plaintiff his 15% interest share of the yearly profits compounded over time by 9% interest. Okay, now you're going to get charged interest, Janice Combs and Diddy. All right. So for C, for punitive damages in an amount to be determined at trial, sufficient to punish defendant Smalls for her deliberate and malicious conduct and to deter others from engaging in similar fraudulent schemes. D, for prejudgment and post-judgment interest on all monetary damages awarded as permitted by law, to ensure plaintiff is fully restored for the financial and temporal losses he has endured. And E, for an equitable accounting of all profits, assets, and financial benefits defendant Smalls derived from the fraudulent transfer of plaintiff's ownership, interest, and related business activities. F, for an award of reasonable attorney's fees, costs, and other expenses incurred in prosecuting this action as authorized by law or equity. For the G, for the imposition of a constructive trust over all assets, profits, or property unjustly retained by defendant Smalls as a result of her fraudulent conduct, to prevent further unjust enrichment. And H, for declaratory relief affirming defendant Smalls' liability for fraudulent actions to establish a clear legal precedent against such behavior. I, for any other equitable relief deemed necessary by the court to restore plaintiff's rightful position and deter future fraudulent conduct. And J, for such other and further relief as the court deems just, equitable, and proper. Listen, I would be also suing her for mental anguish, because I would have definitely suffered mental anguish living in a darn shelter, homeless on the streets out here, suffering and struggling while they live in lavish. Yeah, I would be suing for that too. Now, plaintiff incorporates by reference all preceding paragraphs as fully set forth herein. Defendant Janice Smalls knowingly, willfully, and maliciously enriched herself at plaintiff's expense, orchestrating and benefiting from the fraudulent transfer of plaintiff's rightful 25% ownership interest in BBE. Despite plaintiff's instrumental role in the label's success, defendant Smalls intentionally deprived him of his contractual share of 15% of the label's gross earnings and profits, further compounding the financial injustice. Plaintiff was a foundational force in the creation, development, and sustained success of BBE. Okay, yeah, it was successful because of him. If he did all this work that he's alleging he did. Okay, now his expert management, strategic foresight, and significant financial investments were the cornerstones of the label's meteoric rise to prominence within the music industry. Okay. The cornerstone. And y'all know what the cornerstone is, right? That's like the pillar of success. That's like the very foundation. That's like what holds it all together. Okay, of the label's meteoric rise to prominence. Now, plaintiff's indispensable contributions to BBE encompassed: 1, recruiting, mentoring, and managing world-renowned artists, ensuring talent acquisition aligned with the label's creative and commercial objectives. 2, negotiating pivotal contracts with record companies, distributors, and corporate sponsors, securing lucrative partnerships that fuel the label's expansion. 3, overseeing production schedules, release strategies, and promotional campaigns to optimize market penetration and maximize profit generation. And 4, personally investing approximately $100,000 out of his own pockets, mind you, to finance critical operational expenses, sustaining the label's infrastructure and allowing it to thrive during its formative years. But y'all left that man homeless on the streets. That's what y'all did after he spent his hard-earned money, a whole $100,000, to help get y'all's business off the darn ground. Defendant Smalls knowingly capitalized on plaintiff's labor, financial backing, and executive expertise, deliberately devising a scheme to exclude plaintiff from ownership and financial benefits while simultaneously reaping the economic rewards of his foundational efforts. Honey, it sounds like they were running a whole lot of game on Mr. Burrowes. That's what that sounds like. They were gaslighting him and just running game. Now, defendant Smalls fraudulently retained plaintiff's rightful equity stake in BBE, exploiting his work, reputation, and industry influence to fortify her control and amass significant wealth, all without compensating or acknowledging plaintiff's contributions. The retention of these substantial benefits by defendant Smalls was both inequitable and unconscionable, as it came directly at plaintiff's financial and professional expense, depriving him of millions of dollars in rightful earnings and industry opportunities. The coordinated exploitation of plaintiff by Smalls and Sean Combs resulted in substantial personal financial enrichment for both as they continued to generate enormous profits from BBE's success that was largely built upon plaintiff's intellectual, managerial, and financial investments. And I bet you Diddy didn't see this one coming, and I bet his mama didn't either. I bet you they never saw this lawsuit coming, honey. The element of surprise is always the best strategy. Please pay attention. Now, allowing defendant Smalls to retain these ill-gotten gains without compensating plaintiff for the value of his equity, labor, and strategic contributions would be a gross violation of equity and good conscience. As a direct and foreseeable result of defendant Smalls' deliberate acts of unjust enrichment, fraudulent retention of assets as well, and inclusion or exclusion of plaintiff from his contractual entitlements, plaintiff has suffered significant damages, including: number one, the wrongful deprivation of his 25% ownership interest and 15% profit stake in BBE, conservatively valued in the tens of millions of dollars based on the label's profitability and enduring market dominance. Now, two, severe financial losses stemming from lost profits, dividends, and the inability to monetize his equity stake, preventing plaintiff from reinvesting in other business ventures. And not to mention blackballing the man allegedly. Okay, blacklisting him. After you done took all you could take from this man, left him high and dry, and then to add insult to injury, you're going to stop him, prevent him, halt him, prohibit him from being able to have a lucrative career in the music industry by getting him blacklisted. Yeah, this is beyond nefarious. Okay, this is why I can't stand Diddy. This is why I can't stand Diddy's ass. Even if he didn't commit one of those S assaults, even if he didn't rape anybody, this is why I can't stand him. Because this man has taken so much money from, according to his artist and former business associates, allegedly has taken so much money from people who look just like him, while sitting there at the same time talking about black excellence. Okay, him and Al Sharpton, while sitting there at the same time going to a billionaire brunch with Jay-Z. Him and his mama living high off the damn hog while this man was struggling. Oh, honey, this is going to get my blood pressure up. But let me calm down. Let me just calm on down, because this is all nefarious. Irreparable reputational harm, which has directly impeded plaintiff's ability to secure business opportunities in the music and entertainment industries, further depriving him of financial stability. Profound emotional and psychological distress inflicted by defendant Smalls' betrayal, calculated deception, and prolonged exploitation of plaintiff's trust and labor. Defendant Smalls' conduct constitutes unjust enrichment under established legal principles, necessitating, number one, full restitution and disgorgement of all ill-gotten financial benefits derived from plaintiff's equity stake and contributions. Two, immediate compensation for plaintiff's share of BBE's earnings plus pre and post judgment interest. Three, equitable relief in the form of a constructive trust over all assets and profits wrongfully retained by defendant Smalls. Oh, honey, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up because we're hitting the 2-hour mark, you guys. And at the end of the day, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Okay, I'm going to scroll on down past some of this because it's repetitive. Okay, Marie says Danny Kane and Day 26 said they made nothing and they were on a multi-million-a-year reality show. Exactly. And then you heard how they were saying, how he said in this filings that he was supposedly, Diddy that is, taking money from Mary J. Blige too at some point and almost left her in financial ruin. Allegedly. You know, all a hot mess. I'm going to go past all this. We're going to just scroll on down to the bottom of this, honey, because it's about 20 more pages. And we already, like I said, 2 hours in. Now, so, let me see what's right here. Okay, so request for admissions. Okay, so pursuant to Rule 36 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, plaintiff requests that defendant Janice Combs admit or deny the following statements within the time required by law. Each request is made for the purpose of clarifying factual matters, okay, in dispute and narrowing the issues for trial. If any request cannot be admitted or denied in full, defendant must specify the portion of the request that is true and qualified or deny the remainder. Number one, here are the instructions. Number one, each request must be answered separately and fully in writing order. Okay, I'm not going to go through all this because I don't need to know her instructions of what she can do or whatever. She needs to pay that man his darn money. That's what she needs to do. She needs to give up what she owes, as far as I'm concerned. Now, in conclusion, pursuant to Rule 36 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, Defendant Smalls is required to admit or deny each request individually, with any denial being accompanied by the explanation if the interest is not admitted in full. Failure to respond within the statutory period may result in these matters being deemed admitted. And this was filed on today, respectfully submitted by none other than Tyrone Blackburn, okay, attorney at law. Y'all know Diddy is low down. Y'all know he's low down, okay? Absolutely nefarious. Okay, so with that all being said, I'm going to go through this article. And then we're up out of here. And I won't be coming back. Okay, I've got some other things to do, beloved. So I won't be coming back with that live about Mr. Trump or President Trump and Elon. Okay, please pay attention. So that's what I won't be doing. And that said, I'm going to talk about that, I guess, in the morning. And don't y'all forget, tomorrow's the Queen's birthday. Y'all come in here with y'all's fire emojis. Okay, y'all come here with those fire emojis. It's the Queen's birthday. And so we're going to have a celebration tomorrow, honey. Please pay attention. Exclusive. Now Diddy's mom is being sued for seizing bad boy label from rapper's right-hand man, leaving him homeless and broken. Low down, dirty devil. Okay, so here's what they reported, honey, in the Daily Mail. Let's just talk about this real quick. This is all nefarious. It's so, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but basically we already know. And Mr. Burrowes, by the way, is 62 years old at this point. Okay? 62 years old at this point. I'm going to share my screen so you all can see some of these photos of Diddy and his nefarious mom acting like they're all chummy and lovey-dovey with this man after they've done him so dirty, allegedly. Okay, that's the picture of Diddy and Mr. Kirk Burrowes. All right, and there's his lawsuit. Now, here's what they say. By words and actions, Sean Combs and Kenneth Masalis frightened and intimidated and assaulted plaintiff Burrowes and forced him to turn over his share certificate for 25 shares of the Bad Boy Entertainment to Sean Combs. The lawsuit filed in federal court in New York Wednesday states this information. Now, somewhere along here, they mentioned that Diddy's mom was in fact the mastermind. Burrowes taped his bad boy prayers to expand label staff. This man was putting in the work. This man was literally putting in the work, okay? A distinguished professional in the music and entertainment industry for decades, okay? And they say this man had decades of experience. And then for him to not even be able to get a job in the industry because he's been blacklisted after the fact, this is all crazy. Recognizing plaintiff's strategic mind and industry expertise, Sean Combs entrusted him with key operational and managerial responsibilities, leading plaintiff to co-found BBE and establish his foundational business framework. The paper states. That's what it said in the lawsuit. Okay, so anyway, honey, I'm going to leave it at that. Look at it. This is it right here. Y'all remember I showed you the video. Y'all couldn't tell me that lady wasn't drunk. Y'all couldn't tell me she wasn't drunk, okay? She looked like she was about to fall flats on her face. 80-something years old. Now, she looks good for her age, honey. I'm gonna give her that. Now, you can't lie about it. You can't deny it. You can't deny it. Okay? Here she is with him again. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's Mary J. Blige with Kirk Burrowes. Look at Janice, honey, with that blonde wig. She does look good for her age. I will say that. And so anyway, it's all nefarious. This is a darn shame. It's really a crying shame, seriously. He says he agreed to provide records, photos. This is what Burrowes said, okay? He says that Combs' mother has repeatedly denied having knowledge of his stolen shares and unpaid earnings, and has reached out to him in 2021. Says she even reached out to him, okay, in 2021, asking for his help for a documentary about the history of Bad Boy Entertainment. I mean, the nerve, it's the gall for me. Okay, it is the gall for me. You have the audacity, dare I say, to reach out to this man after you've lied to him for decades, allegedly, and kept his coins for yourself and pretended all the while not to know what happened, and then blamed it on your son and his nefarious attorney, Kenneth Masalis, when all the while you were in cahoots, working in concert and unison with them, and had the money in your own pockets and bank account, allegedly. Now, he says he agreed to provide records, photos, and other materials in return, okay, according to the suit. Now, Janice agreed to reimburse him for his 25% ownership stake and 15% earnings, but she allegedly refused to pay him even after he provided materials for the documentary, leaving him feeling further exploited and betrayed. Why did he continue to help them? Why did he continue to help them? Let me tell y'all something, what this brings to mind. I want you all to pay attention. This brings to mind to me why when 50 Cent cut off Big Meech for hanging out with Rick Ross and clearly consorting with his enemy, this just speaks to the fact of why he also cut off Lil Meech, okay? Because if your mama or dad is a snake, then you are likely a snake too. How could you be anything else? That's how you got to look at it. You cannot be giving these people the benefit of the doubt, okay? Because who raised your devil? If your son Diddy's a devil, who raised him? You did. That's who. So you might be a devil too. So Kirk Burrowes should have just quit fooling with her a long time ago, but he further helped her in 2021 and only to get done dirty again. Anyway, goes on to say that Burrowes' attorney, Tyrone Blackburn, told the DailyMail.com that his client is not asking for anything more than what he has rightfully earned. Okay, what he rightfully earned. We are confident that the legal process will hold those responsible accountable and ensure that justice prevails. Okay, Burrowes spoke to the Daily Mail as well, and he also issued a message to Combs' mother, Janice Smalls, aka Janice Combs, aka Wig. Okay, she's the next Wig 5. Okay, saying that we started this out as a family unit, and I believed in Sean's talent. I had talent too, and I delivered. I looked out for your family, and you let them, as well as yourself, destroy mine. See you in court. Bitch. He didn't call her a bitch, but I sure did. Okay? He didn't call her a bitch, but I sure did, because that's exactly what you have to be to do something so nefarious. So that all being said, I'm up out of here. Y'all, this was crazy. Everyone, please like and share. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click the notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. I love you all to life. I hope you enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. And I will see you all in the morning with your morning wake-up call, bright and early, okay? I'm going to be on early in the morning. Please pay attention. With that all been said, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Peace.
Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. That's See right. A bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat.
It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece. This time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got